5 Urban Legends from Around the World. First story. The Manananggal, the terrifying creature that splits in half. Urban legend from the Philippines. Some creatures hunt you with claws. Others, with teeth. But what if there was something that could rip itself in half? Fly through your window in the dead of night. And feed on you while you sleep. In the daylight, she looks like an ordinary woman. Sometimes young. Sometimes old. Sometimes even beautiful. But when night falls, she transforms. She goes to a dark, hidden place. And there, she does something horrifying. She rips her own body in half, separating her upper torso from her lower one. Bat-like wings tear out of her back. Her face twists into something inhuman. And she takes off into the night sky. On the hunt. She is the Manananggal, a creature feared for generations across the Philippines. And she doesn't just hunt anyone. She looks for sleeping victims. Especially pregnant women. Using her long, thin tongue, like a sharp, fleshy needle, she pierces through roofs, ceilings, even cracks in bamboo walls. And drains her victims while they sleep. The name Manananggal comes from the old Tagalog word tanggal, meaning to separate, literally, the one who separates itself. Her legend is strongest in the Visayas region, places like Capais, Iloilo, and Antique, but variations exist across the country. Some say the Manananggal becomes what she is by making a deal with dark forces. A cursed oil, a ritual under the full moon, or being bitten by another of her kind. Once the curse is passed on, there's no turning back. By day, she hides in plain sight. By night, she feeds. What makes this creature even more terrifying is how real she feels to many rural communities. For centuries, people in the Philippines have shared stories of unexplained attacks, strange sounds on rooftops, or shadowy figures flying across the moon. People still hang garlic and holy objects near their windows. They scatter salt, ash, or crushed glass outside their homes. And some even keep bamboo spears or bolos near their beds, just in case. But the only real way to stop the Manananggal is this. Find her lower body. While she's out flying, her bottom half stays hidden somewhere nearby. Standing upright like a discarded statue, vulnerable. If you pour salt, garlic, ash, or spices on the exposed torso, she won't be able to reattach when the sun rises. And when daylight hits, she burns. Destroyed forever. But if she does find her body in time, she reconnects. And blends back into the world like nothing ever happened. There could be a Manananggal living in your town. She might be your neighbor. A stranger in the market. Even someone you pass every day. You wouldn't know. Not until it's too late. The Manananggal has become a staple of Filipino horror culture. She's appeared in films, comics, and short stories, even in modern horror series. But no matter the version, she's always the same at her core. Half human. Half monster. Fully terrifying. Because the real fear isn't just that she exists. It's that you won't know who she is until she's already hovering above your bed, wings spread, tongue reaching down. So if you ever travel to the countryside in the Philippines, and the wind is just a little too quiet, and something thuds on your roof in the middle of the night, don't ignore it. Check your ceiling. Say a prayer. And whatever you do, find that lower half. Second story. Gwishin, Korea's terrifying ghosts of the dead who won't rest. Urban legend from Korea. The word Gwishin in Korean means ghost or spirit. But not just any spirit, these are souls who died in pain, or injustice, or with deep emotional wounds. They are stuck between life and death. And they are angry. Most Gwishin are women, because for centuries, many women in Korean history lived under strict roles, with limited choices. If a woman was betrayed, abandoned, or murdered before fulfilling her role in life, marriage, motherhood, or family duty, it was believed her soul would become a ghost. A vengeful one. These spirits wear traditional white funeral robes. Their faces are pale and blank. Their black hair hangs long, covering much of their face. They have no feet. And they glide, slowly, silently, through halls, fields, or empty streets at night. You might not hear them coming. But you will feel the cold. The most famous of these spirits is the Chinyogwishin, the ghost of a young woman who died unmarried or as a virgin. According to legend, she appears in old buildings, school bathrooms, or stairwells. Her weeping can be heard echoing in the distance. And if you make eye contact with her, she may follow you. Not always to kill. Sometimes, to take your energy. Or to make you so afraid, you slowly lose your mind. Sometimes, they want companionship. Other times, they want you to take their place. In one well-known story, a janitor at a high school stayed late one night. As he locked up the empty halls, he noticed a woman standing perfectly still near the fourth-floor stairwell. She was wearing white. At first, he thought she was a teacher. He called out to her. No answer. He took a step closer. And she drifted backward, without moving her feet. He ran. The next morning, he quit. The number 4 is considered unlucky in Korea. Elevators often skip it, jumping from the 3rd to the 5th floor, because the word for SA, sounds nearly identical to the word for death. That's why Gwishin are often said to appear on the 4th floor, or around places associated with death, silence, or isolation. Hospitals. Old homes. School bathrooms. Abandoned dormitories. Places where sadness lingers. Where memories don't fade. There are different kinds of Gwishin. Some simply mourn, they appear and vanish, repeating the moment of their death. Others are violent, scratching, grabbing, or even dragging people into hidden corners of buildings. In some stories, they possess the living, driving them mad with fear, or sadness, or rage. And some just follow you. Not with footsteps. But with whispers. With shadows that shouldn't be there. With the sudden, bone-deep chill that hits you when you know you're not alone. People still tell Gwishin stories across Korea today. Movies, TV dramas, and books have all featured them, but for many, these aren't just stories. Some students claim they've heard a voice crying from an empty bathroom stall. Others say they've seen a white figure standing at the end of the hall, only to vanish when approached. Some say if you speak ill of the dead near a Gwishin's haunting place, they remember. And they wait. You might be wondering, is there any way to protect yourself? Traditionally, mirrors and sharp objects are used to repel spirits. Holy charms or symbols. Burning incense. Or, in some cases, simply staying calm. Because Gwishin feed on fear, and the more afraid you are, the more real they become. But the best defense? Don't go looking for them. Because if you see one, it might already be too late. Third story. Phai Tai Hong, the angry spirit of sudden death. Urban legend from Thailand. In the darkness of night, along quiet roads, or in the midst of desolate woods, there's a spirit that waits. Not for justice. Not for peace. But for revenge. In Thailand, there's a belief that not all spirits pass on after death. Some are trapped. Trapped in their pain, anger, or fear. And the most dangerous of these spirits are the Phai Tai Hong, the vengeful souls of those who die unexpectedly. Violently. Suddenly. Without the chance to reconcile. These ghosts don't die in peace. They die in pain, in fear, and with unfinished business. And when they rise from the grave, they rise with fury. A Phai Tai Hong can come from any death, whether it's from murder, suicide, or accidents. But what makes these spirits particularly dangerous is their rage. Because it's said that when they die, they don't just die alone. They die with their soul fractured, trapped between life and death. Their spirit doesn't know how to move on, and because of that, it becomes angry. Angry at the injustice. Angry at the world. Angry at anyone who crosses its path. The Phi Tai Hong haunts the place where they died, repeating the final moments of their life in an endless loop. Travelers and locals in rural areas have reported strange occurrences near sites of violent deaths. They've heard voices, felt cold spots, or seen figures in the distance. Some claim to have seen a blood-soaked figure standing along lonely roads at night, asking for help. But when they approach, the figure vanishes. And these spirits don't just haunt the land. They haunt your mind. You might not even realize you're being followed until it's too late. The Phi Tai Hong is known for appearing unexpectedly, often in the back seat of a car or on a deserted road. When you look back, the spirit will be there, its face covered in blood, its eyes full of anger, and its body twisted with pain. One of the most terrifying things about these spirits: they don't always attack right away. Some simply follow. Stalking you. Watching you. Until you feel the overwhelming sense of dread. But not all Phi Tai Hong are created equally. The Phi Tai Hong Tong Klam, for example, is a spirit with even more power, and more sorrow. These are the vengeful ghosts of women who died while pregnant. The combination of a violent death and the loss of an unborn child makes their rage even stronger. Their pain is doubled, and so is their power. These spirits are said to be extremely dangerous. They are known to latch onto victims, consume their energy, or even cause fatal accidents. Some say if you drive past the spot where a Phi Tai Hong Tong Klam died, you'll feel a cold breath on the back of your neck, or hear a whisper from the back seat. But if you turn around, there's nothing there. Except an empty seat. The legend of the Phi Tai Hong isn't just a story, it's deeply embedded in Thai culture, rooted in beliefs about karma, justice, and the unfinished business that traps spirits. In Thailand, it's believed that spirits of sudden, violent deaths are cursed to wander forever. Their restless souls are bound by the injustice they suffered, and they seek to make others feel the same pain they endured. So what can you do if you ever find yourself near a Phi Tai Hong's haunting ground? Is there a way to protect yourself? While there is no guaranteed method to escape their wrath, some suggest leaving offerings at the site of death. Incense, food, or even prayers for peace. In some cases, local monks are called upon to bless the area and help the spirit pass on. But the most important advice? Never ignore a spirit's cry for help. Because if you do, the Phi Tai Hong will keep coming. And one day, they might stop just crying for help. And start seeking revenge. So, the next time you're traveling down a lonely road at night, remember the Phi Tai Hong. You might hear a voice. You might see a figure in the distance. But whatever you do, don't stop. And don't look back. Because if you do, you might just find yourself in the back seat with a ghost you can never escape. Fourth story. El Charro Negro, the Mexican legend of the Black Cowboy. Urban legend from Mexico. In the dead of night, under the cover of darkness, a figure appears. He's tall, dressed in black, his presence as intimidating as the eerie silence that follows him. A rider. A cowboy. But not just any cowboy. El Charro Negro is not a ghost or an ordinary man. He's a demon, a spirit of darkness who roams the countryside, waiting for the weak, the greedy, and the desperate. He's often seen wearing a black charro suit, a traditional Mexican cowboy outfit. A wide-brimmed sombrero sits on his head, casting a shadow over his face. He rides a massive black horse, its eyes glowing red in the night. The sound of his horse's hooves echo in the distance, slowly getting closer, and closer. And when he's near, you'll know it. The legend says El Charro Negro is a tempter. He waits for those who make deals with the devil, or who desire something they can't have. Wealth, power, fame, whatever it is you crave, he will offer it to you. But there's a catch. The deal will always come at a terrible price. He appears to people in isolated areas, on deserted roads, near small towns, or in fields where no one can hear you scream. He offers his deal with a smile, or perhaps, a knowing grin. If you're smart, you'll turn away. But if you're desperate enough, if you're tempted by the promise of your desires, you might just fall for it. Once you accept his offer, you belong to him. Your soul is his to claim, and he's always watching. The deal is never as simple as it seems. El Charro Negro is a trickster. He'll twist the terms of your bargain, ensuring that you're never free from his grasp. You might receive the riches you asked for. You might find success. But as time passes, things will start to go wrong. You'll feel the weight of your decision, the cold hand of guilt and fear tightening around your chest. And when the time comes for him to collect, you'll wish you had never made the deal in the first place. Some say that El Charro Negro haunts the person until they're driven mad with fear. Others say he appears suddenly, often at the most unexpected moments, like when you're alone at night, walking to your car or riding down a lonely road. The sight of him is enough to freeze you in place. He might approach your vehicle on horseback, riding slowly alongside, watching you with eyes that gleam like fire. Others claim that he appears at your door, knocking and asking for something he's owed, your soul. What makes El Charro Negro so terrifying is that you can't escape him. Even if you run, even if you leave everything behind, he follows. His dark presence will always be there, lurking in the shadows. Some say if you encounter him, your only hope is to resist the temptation. If you refuse his deal, he might disappear. But others warn that if you refuse him once, he'll only become more persistent. He'll find new ways to test your resolve, finding your weakest moments to strike. So, where did this terrifying figure come from? The origins of El Charro Negro can be traced back to Mexico's colonial period, when souls were believed to be easily bought and sold. Some say he was once a man, a cowboy who sought fame and wealth above all else. In his arrogance, he made a deal with the devil, and for his greed, he was cursed. Others claim that El Charro Negro is a demon sent from hell itself, tasked with collecting the souls of those who make deals with the devil. No matter the origin, one thing is clear: once you make a deal with him, there's no going back. The legend of El Charro Negro still haunts the Mexican countryside today. It is said that if you encounter him, you must avoid his temptations at all costs. Because if you don't, your soul may be lost forever. So, what happens if you do fall victim to El Charro Negro? Some say you're doomed to wander forever, serving him in the afterlife, always at his mercy. Others claim he drags you down to hell, your soul eternally bound to the darkness. But the scariest part? No one really knows. Because once El Charro Negro claims you, no one ever sees you again. Fifth story. Teak Teak, the vengeful spirit of the train tracks. Urban legend from Japan. In the dead of night, when the train tracks are deserted and the wind howls through the empty streets, there's a sound that cuts through the silence, a soft, scraping sound. It starts faint, distant. And then it grows louder. Closer. Some say it's just the wind. Others say it's something much worse. Teak Teak is a vengeful spirit. But she wasn't always like this. She was once a young woman, full of life, walking down the tracks on a fateful night. But that night, her life ended abruptly. She was struck by a train, a violent, tragic death that left her body mangled and torn. Her lower half was severed completely, leaving only her upper body alive. But instead of dying peacefully, her anger, pain, and fear twisted her spirit into something far darker. Now, she is bound to the very tracks that took her life, a ghost who will stop at nothing to exact revenge. What makes Teak Teak so terrifying isn't just her appearance. It's the sound. The sound of her dragging herself across the ground, using her hands to pull her mangled body forward. That constant teak-teak sound, the sound of her scraping fingers against the earth, as she hunts for victims. And when she finds someone, it's not a simple haunting. No, Teek is far more violent. It is said that if she catches you, she will cut you in half, just like she was. She'll drag you down and use whatever means necessary to make sure you share the same gruesome fate. Some stories claim she has a scythe or sharp object that she uses to sever her victims. Others say she uses her hands, strong enough to split a person in two. It's said that Teek haunts train stations and train tracks in Japan, especially during the night. When you walk alone near those dark, desolate tracks, you might hear her coming, the soft, scraping noise getting closer and closer. And you know, there's nowhere to run. Because Teek doesn't need feet to chase you. She's already right behind you. The origin of the Teek legend dates back to the early 20th century, with some versions of the story tracing her origins to a specific incident. One popular version says she was a young woman who worked as a schoolteacher in a small town. One evening, she was crossing the tracks to head home when a train came rushing by. She didn't hear it. Before she could react, the train struck her, severing her body in half. But her spirit didn't rest. Instead, she became filled with rage and anguish. Her anger twisted her into a vengeful ghost, dragging her body across the tracks and hunting for anyone who dared to venture near. And so, the Teek spirit was born. Some say that if you're walking near train tracks at night, you might start to hear the sound of scraping, a soft, rhythmic noise. At first, you'll think it's nothing. Maybe it's the wind, or the sound of gravel moving underfoot. But then it grows louder. And closer. Until you turn around, and that's when you'll see her. A dark figure, crawling toward you, dragging her severed body behind her. Her hands moving quickly, as if in a frenzy to reach you. Some say she might ask you for help, claiming she needs assistance. But others say if you even make eye contact with her, she'll immediately chase you. Once she catches you, it's too late. If you're unfortunate enough to cross paths with Teek, there's only one way to survive. You have to outrun her. But the thing is, Teek is faster than you think. Even without legs, she can move quickly, dragging herself along the ground, closing the distance in an instant. And once she's caught you, there's no escape. So what can you do to avoid her? Some say you can avoid hearing the scraping sound by whistling or making loud noises to drown out the sound of her approach. Others believe that if you don't acknowledge her, don't even look in her direction, she might leave you alone. But, most importantly, don't go near train tracks at night. Because that's when she's most active. The Teek legend has spread across Japan, and in some places, it has become a warning to stay away from train tracks after dark. Locals share their stories of hearing the scraping sound and having mysterious encounters on those desolate paths. And while many of the details vary, the core of the story remains the same. Once you hear that Teek sound, you're never truly alone. If you ever came face to face with one of these urban legends, would you survive? Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. If you dare.